All right, kids, let's talk about this. I'm getting on my soapbox, and we're going to start off with Raw. And I would say overall across the board, every single viewership was up for every single product that I watched. So that's always good. Raw, 2.006 million viewers, up from 1.8 million, and it was a 0.56 demo from a 0.47. So great demo and great number.
Yeah, good numbers.
Yeah,
Above
absolutely.
2 million.
And obviously number one in the top 150, especially given those, just to show the strength. So Sami Zayn's segment was very strange because I just didn't get it. I know they were still in Canada at this time, but I just didn't care because he just said the same thing, and then Kevin Owens came out, and it was whatever. We know that the team of Sami and Owens are facing the Usos in Mania. Like, let's just book it. Let's rock and roll because it's right around the corner. Sami Zayn and Baron Corbin was an absolute nothing sandwich. Dolph Ziggler and Mustafa Ali, I got crap for that pronunciation, was fine, but Ali looks like a crybaby bitch because, well, he is.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes' segment was fine. Nothing to really write home to mom about. Asuka and Nikki Cross was whatever, and Carmella was the one who instigated this rivalry, and they decided to have a match because of Carmella. Carmella should not be on commentary. Why is she here? I get how she worked hard to get here, and her wrestling is fine, but at the same time, let's have a manager.
Right.
For the love of Christ. Seth Rollins and The Miz was fine. They tied up the little mini rivalry there with a nice bow. You know, you can't go wrong with a Seth Rollins-Miz match, but at the same time, whatever. For the Women's Tag Team Championships, they decided to go with Becky Lynch and Lita as the challengers.
That's an interesting pair.
I don't like it. And I don't like it because you do have a perfectly good two challengers to go for these titles, but for some reason they don't want to be off of Raw. And that's Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey. Mm-hmm. They have everything. They have the credibility. They have the star power. And I think that would be a good crossover and something new. Because Becky Lynch is continuing the feud with Damage Control. And I think at this point, we don't want to see this.
Right.
The women's tag team champions are nothing but Raw champions.
Right.
Why are we having SmackDown women's tag team matches when we have not seen Damage Control on there in like months?
Right.
So it's just very strange.
Right.
Chad Gable and Bronson Reed was fun, but Otis kind of going with Maxine Dupree and the Maximum Male Models is a no-go for me. If they're trying to redo the Mandy Rose magic that they had there, they're not going to get it with somebody pursuing Otis.
No.
The thing with Mandy Rose and Otis was, number one, their chemistry was on point.
Yeah.
But it was Otis continuing to be a buffoon and slowly churning her interest.
Right.
And that's what made it.
Right.
Was first the disinterest, boom, 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 multiple layers, and then we finally got the big crescendo. Now, obviously, the WrestleMania moment where they kissed and everybody lost their mind was destroyed because of the pandemic. That's how far we are from that. But they are not going to get this with Maxine pursuing Otis.
Yeah, because
like,
that's kind of weird.
Right, exactly.
Well, I mean, it's not weird. It's just it's not what we expect.
Right. We have a certain expectation for Otis and a hot chick, and this is not it. So very strange, and it's like
Not
why?
that it couldn't happen. It just is unlikely.
Well, it's like Maximum Male Models. Why? She's on
Right.
SmackDown. They usually don't commingle like this. I just don't know where it is.
Maximum Male Models are on Raw now.
Oh, they are? Mm-hmm. Oh. Well, shit. Man, Raw, I mean, SmackDown really needs people. Like, really bad. At least Bronson Reed is still getting reactions from the crowd. And we are so on Bronson. I love Bronson Reed. Elias and Bobby Lashley segment was nothing once again. And then Austin Theory and Edge for the title was a good main event. Obviously, they're in Canada. Might as well have a Canadian wrestle on the show for a championship. Balor's involvement was good because we know that it's going to be Finn Balor versus Edge at WrestleMania. Right. And I am all for that. Let's talk about NXT. Despite the weirdness of this show, the demos and stuff were still up. It was 589,000 viewers. Up from 564, and it was a 0.14 down actually from a 0.15, and it was number 16 on top 150, which is actually up. So it's kind of a weird sandwich on that. Trick Williams and Ilya Dragunov had a really good opener. The story and the pacing was fine. I hope we see them again in the future, but I just don't know. Why involve Tyler Bate with the Schism storyline? It's very strange. I don't understand it, but Schism continuing to stalk Thea Hale is good, and also Chase U in the Dyad was a fun match overall, so at least we got that. JC Jane, I don't know what's going on here. They want to present her as this star, and she has the look. The promo is not there, but at least the look is there. And then she wrestles, and it's fine, but it's not to what we expected.
It's not like a game-changing.
Right. Now, obviously, this is NXT, and this is kind of where you learn on how to do the WWE style. So maybe because we've only seen her in tags, it's just unfamiliar, but it's there. And then, obviously, Gigi is super over, but just JC is not getting the heel heat. She's just getting quiet. And I'm disappointed. Maybe give it some time. Maybe it'll change, but I don't know. Gallus versus Idris Enofe and Malik Blade was fun, and it was a good showcase for the new tag champions and a good showcase for Enofe and Blake. Tony D'Angelo and Von Wagner was confusing. So why did D'Angelo say Wagner screwed him out of the title match last week when Dijak was the one who attacked D'Angelo during his entrance?
Right.
That's where I got confused, because no, that's not who screwed you. It was Dijak. Go after Dijak, not after Von Wagner. And Wagner lost again because it's Von Wagner. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn's relationship is still so up in the air. I have no idea why Isla Dawn and Alba Fire hang out. I don't get it. Because they were in a rivalry. We had Oogly Boogly, but for some reason they didn't continue with the Oogly Boogly. Just Alba Fire decided to say, oh, I'm going to hang out with her. I mean, I would hang out with Isla Dawn too. But at the same time, it just doesn't make sense storyline-wise. So, whatever. And then Braun Breaker and Jinder Mahal was just uninspired. These two did not care. And why did this have to be a title match? It just was a very weird decision by WWE to do this. Maybe it was within the contract, but at the same time, Braun is starting to get a little old, exactly. He needs a new challenger, and that challenger is Carmelo.
Right.
Have Carmelo face him at Stand and Deliver, but get Breaker off of TV for a minute. You know, Breaker is still good. He just needs a little more work on promo, but I think him and Hayes could do something good. So overall, it was a fine NXT, but not anything to write home to mom about. And let's talk about the elephant in the room. I don't think people realize how bad this is. So obviously, it was a excuse me. It was a 1.028 million viewers, up from 824,000 last week, and it was a 0.35 demo next to a 0.27. Obviously, number one in the top 150. You had 1 million people see this. This show, of all shows, it was this show. Oh, jeez. By the way, people tuned in. I saw it minute for minute on the numbers. The most people saw was when Tony Khan made his announcement. And I told you that was the only reason people tuned in. And oh my God, it's almost like Tigerhite is Nostradamus, because I'm always right. And that's exactly what happened. It bumped up to like 1.124, and then it went right back down to 800.
Because no one cares.
Right. The only two segments was the runoff from Big Bang Theory, because that apparently those are the most AEW fans is Big Bang Theory after Wash, and when Tony Khan makes an announcement. That's it. Anyway, Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta was but of course it was. The story development with the Blackpool Combat Club turning heel is interesting, though. I saw some heel work, and I'm like, ooh, okay, something a little bit different. I'm okay with that. Ricky Starks is wrestling Chris Jericho again at Revolution, and I'm just...
Oh, joy.
Oh, my God, please Revolution come sooner. Ricky Starks has to get away from the Jericho Appreciation Society. The Acclaimed are still kind of popular, but their act is getting old. less and less people are doing the little scissoring thing. You know, it's whatever. You guys had magic, but you lost it.
Well,
because
the magic just fades away naturally.
Well, yeah,
they were able to put over a lot of merch, but then the fade. You know, the issue know when things just have to kind of settle down.
Well, the issue of that is that the Acclaimed had nobody else around them to keep that energy going. The Acclaimed going and finally getting the titles was good, but they were facing random teams at random times for no apparent reason because you have to have the Acclaimed on the show. How about we have a story? There's a reason why the Bloodline is selling so much more and so much longer than Scissors, you know? But, you know, their match itself was fine. Big Bill and Lee Moriarty still have potential, and I'm still on that, but I thought Big Bill was a game changer. I guess not. Saraya is absolutely dead in the water. Once again, game changer, and nobody cares. That whole women's division is an absolute travesty. It's a mess, and it's like, God damn, we have her taking on Sky Blue. Like, why? I thought Saraya was going to be this attraction like you were supposed to, instead of, oh, let's have her wrestle a whatever sandwich. Like, I don't give a fuck, you know? She's just another person on the roster. Nobody feels special in this company. The tag division is absolutely nothing. Let's put all of them in a battle royal and see what happens. And of course, Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal won because it's Jeff Jarrett.
Yep, it's Jeff Jarrett pulling his power strings, baby.
Exactly. And it's like, how about instead of getting in the fucking ring because you can't let it go, how about you actually bring in some business? This was not business, folks. This was a flash in the pan. Now, if they do this consistently, you might actually have a conversation here. But we all know it's not going to happen.
Right.
And finally, we had Jon Moxley and Evil Uno in an absolutely embarrassing match. Blood everywhere because of course it was.
because it's Jon Moxley.
No, actually, Jon Moxley did not bleed during the match. It was after the match when he started bleeding.
Oh.
This was Evil Uno's blood that got everywhere. And it's like, come on, Evil Uno facing... Like, why was that the main event? I mean, at least the Battle Royal be the main event. Jesus, the order of operations was weird, and 1 million people saw this show. 1 million people saw this show. You think they're going to tune back in after this? Are you kidding?
That's just embarrassing.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about Impact. I couldn't find any numbers for Impact, unfortunately, but it is what it is. I like the interaction between Jonathan Gresham and Mike Bailey, but I'm not a fan of the Motor City Machine Gun's new finisher. It's literally the same thing as Aussie Opens, and I'm like, you guys beat them for the strong openweight tag team champions, and now you're taking their finishing maneuver? Not a big fan of it. The Beat the Clock challenge was who can talk first. That was the premise of this Beat the Clock. Because they did a Busted Open Radio live, and this was in Samstown, by the way. This was in Vegas at No Surrender. This Beat the Clock was who was going to talk first. So weird. So bizarre. I just don't get it. Oh, and the matches were an absolute whatever sandwich. The longest match was 1 minute and 30 seconds. So
during this, like during Impact last week.
Yes.
What the actual fuck?
Yeah, exactly. Taya Valkyrie and Allison Kay had a fun match, but, you know, you can't go wrong with that. Good action, and thank God they're promoting this match because the Knockouts tag team division is pretty much dead in the water. Even though Sami Callihan lost the match, they're still making forward progress of him joining the design. I like the explanation. The match itself was good. The story is different. I'm liking it. But I'm waiting. I'm curious to see how they're going to end it. And I think that's why I like this story, is because I don't know where it's going. Because it might be at the final part where Sami Callihan turns on the design again, or he actually is joining the design. So, whatever. In the Monsters Ball match, it was a Monsters Ball match. It always delivers. And they always do, with Monsters Ball, they do everything with it. It's all the presentation. And that's why I like it. They are locked in a room, totally dark, and they're like, oh, they haven't eaten in 24 hours or anything like that. They're going to come out, and they're going to attack. It's like putting people in solitary confinement. And that's okay for Monsters Ball because that makes sense within the structure of the match.
Right.
And they had a crazy hardcore match, and you know what? I'm not usually the biggest fans of hardcore matches, but this one was good, and I am okay with that because Monsters Ball.
Okay, so Tommy Dreamer is a producer for this company. That is why probably hardcore matches are produced so well. But
that is true.
But
Monsters Ball always delivers. They always have something good. And you're right. He is a producer, and he probably produced this match, and that's probably why it worked. But it's also Trey Miguel and Crazy Steve.
Right.
They had a rivalry. This was for the X Division champion, and everything just really worked for me for this match. Let's talk about SmackDown. Now, this is not official numbers because those don't come out until Monday, but this is kind of what we're looking at. 2.43 million viewers, up from 2.303 million, and is a 0.6 demo instead of a 0.5. So very good numbers, very good demo to numbers ratio. That's crazy. That's like over 30%. This is why advertisers love WWE, because they put on these numbers with this demo.
Right.
And that's television. That's what television is. And obviously it was number one. So Braun Strowman, Madcap Moss, and Ricochet versus Imperium was a fun opener. There was a rivalry, and then Drew McIntyre coming out and staring down Gunther, because that's probably going to be the match for Mania. I'm not a fan of it.
I'm not a fan of that either. It should have been Lesnar.
Yeah, you heard the pop. Mm-hmm. Have Gunther Lesnar for the title. It's okay if Lesnar wins that belt. It's not a big deal.
Right.
It's better than Lesnar and Omos, because we don't want that. So
no one asked for it.
Exactly. We want Gunther Lesnar. And if Lesnar puts over Gunther, that would make him even better. Like, come on. He's having a stellar year. So, whatever. LA Knight is going to be the guy to face his Jay White. I almost said Bray Wyatt. Don't want to go back to that. Probably. Kofi Kingston and LA Knight had a fun match, but it looks like they're really building the LA Knight. It's like his thing is you can't have WrestleMania LA without LA Knight. So they're building to he's going to have an opponent, but he's not going to know until later. So
then there's also that speculation that could be Jay White as well.
Exactly.
But there's a lot of possibilities if Jay White is indeed coming to this company for Mania.
Exactly. Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley's face-to-face was fine. They didn't say anything, which was the issue, but I liked the interaction between Ric Flair and Dominic. That was good because, once again, Dominic is on such a different level. And we'll talk about that here in a minute, but it was good, and it was funny, and it told a story, and everything worked. Natalya and Shayna Baszler was an absolute nothing. Don't worry about it. But Ronda Rousey and Baszler, once again, they need to go for the titles. Mm-hmm. I think that would be a fine match for WrestleMania. You get the women's tag champions on the biggest stage, and then you have Ronda Rousey on the biggest stage. Mm-hmm. It's a win-win-win, and then you have them win. So there you go. Boom. Done. It's almost like booking this and your sleep is fine. At this point, they're doing Lucha de Apuestas, Mask versus Hair, Rey versus Dominic Mysterio at WrestleMania.
Yeah. We already know that this is going to happen. Just book the damn thing already.
They've been teasing it. They're going to do it, and it's going to be awesome because that is the match.
Right.
Dominic continues to wear the mask disrespectfully of his father in every way he can, and then also him growing out his hair. It's just so obvious,
right.
And I love it.
Right.
That's what we want. This is a Dominic Mysterio that's going to be a star.
Right.
He's got it, man. I don't know what happened, but he is on a different fucking level. He feels like his own guy.
Right.
So I'm happy for him. And then the Bloodline story continues. It's good, but it continues. It's going to end at WrestleMania.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
That's the big crescendo. There you go. And they're setting up the tag match. It has happened. You know, it is what it is. But good SmackDown overall. I enjoyed it from top to bottom. And now let's go to Rampage. Now, I did not get numbers for the current viewers, but last week had 287,000 viewers.
Who watches that on Friday nights? Apparently, people do watch it.
And
on
also,
Fridays.
it was a .07 demo.
Nice.
Last week. This is not good. Those are not good numbers, especially for TNT. This is TNT.
Yeah, but no one's watching fucking Rampage on a Friday night.
Right. They're watching SmackDown on a Friday night. I mean, come on. But Friday's always been a popular night for viewers.
Right.
Like, that's always been a thing. That's why, it's like Monday and Fridays.
Yeah.
Super weird. Anyway, Young Bucks and Aussie Open had a good match. Speaking of Aussie Open, the Elite versus House of Black is happening in Revolution. I'm okay with that. Yeah. I think that's fine. That's how you're going to take the titles off of the Elite. They're probably not going to take them off, but whatever. The women's division continues to be a nothing. Toni Storm beat Willow Nightingale. It was a good match, but at the same time, where's the momentum? Where's forward momentum? Where is this going? It's the same thing.
Who's facing what's her face for the
Jamie Hayter. It's gonna be a triple threat match. It's gonna be Jamie Hayter, Saraya, and Ruby Soho, I think. No, I think it's Toni Storm.
You don't even know.
Toni Storm. Yeah, for some reason, Toni Storm is going to be the one to face Hayter and Soho in a triple threat for the Women's World Champion.
Why?
That Revolution. That's a really good question. Why? Like, seriously. Anyway, and then Lance Archer being back is good. His presentation is an improvement, but he'll be gone soon. They don't care. The only reason they booked Archer is because Archer had a moan on social media and people backed him because people want to see Lance Archer.
Yeah.
Lance Archer is a good wrestler.
He is.
He looks different. He feels different. He would be a lot better in Japan.
He's a good big guy.
He's a great big guy. WWE could probably utilize him a lot better because he made himself his own identity.
Right.
And I think that's what makes Archer good is because this is Lance Archer.
Right.
And this is what we want him to be.
Right.
He hasn't been in WWE in almost 15 years.
Right.
You know?
He was in NXT for a while.
He was?
Yeah.
Archer?
Yeah. He went by Vance Archer. Remember
No,
that?
he was in ECW.
No. He was in NXT for a little bit, for a moment.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
I think he went by Vance Archer.
Oh, I don't know.
It was like 2012 era, NXT. This is like the...
Are you thinking about Tyler Rex?
Maybe, I don't know.
But Archer was on the reboot of ECW.
Yeah. Oh, he was?
Yeah, he was. Oh. Yeah, he had shorter hair.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah, he had
now.
a really bad tramp stamp. No, it's literally the same guy. It doesn't even look like the same dude.
Anyways, enough about Lance Archer.
Well, no, I mean, it's good because he is good. And then Sammy Guevara and Action Andretti was actually a fun match, but it's probably not going anywhere. And they're going to continue that nonsense with Jericho Appreciation Society because
Chris Jericho always has to have a faction around him.
Yeah, exactly, because he knows that he is fat and unimportant.
You were speaking the truth there.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. I mean, he has Fozzy, now he's Jericho Appreciation Society. It's like, I mean, goddamn.
Right.
I mean, look at the state of him. There's a reason why oh, man, poor Ricky Starks. I feel so bad. Anyway, that is my soapbox. Kind of an up and down for wrestling. WWE consistently being good and AEW continuing to be shit. And then Impact Wrestling is just kind of doing their own thing in their own little lane, and that's all well and good. And I'm very happy about that. So, I mean, if I watch any more wrestling, I would go cross-eyed and deaf. So, when we come back, we're going to be talking about Nuff Said. We're going to make that majestic again, and we're going to make pro wrestling majestic again.